Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music, and we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help lesbians and lesbian couples lift their lives to the next level. Aloha, everybody. This is Toast. What's funny? It's been so long since we've said aloha. Is that what it is?
No, it's not that. Anyways, nothing.
Okay, Sienna has the giggles today.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Sienna, and we just need to say that as we are recording this, we do have a guest in the studio. You might hear him right now. And it's our cat Bear. So you may hear some rumbling, some things happening, but right now he is
he's doing
his own thing.
Yeah, he's doing that cat thing. You know how cats will like sit on a table and paw at something until that something falls off the table? He's doing that.
They say that's a sign of boredom.
Uh-oh.
But how can he be bored?
He's very rarely bored.
500
No,
toys.
he's very rarely bored.
They do talk about cats having toy fatigue.
I believe it.
He might have toy fatigue. So anyways,
God, you really need to play with him after this.
Oh my gosh, he's biting.
God.
Okay, so he just picked up our desk calendar in his mouth, moved it.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so anyways, is this too distracting? Should we come back? What do we do? Should we come back? Okay,
Well,
we're going to come right back. Okay, hold on. Oh my God.
Thank you for holding. It wouldn't be a lesbian podcast without a cat.
Oh my gosh.
We start with an acoustic guitar and we put in a cat for you.
I don't even know what are we talking about in this podcast.
Okay, the topic for this podcast is we're going to be talking about a belief that we have and that we have come to believe even more as we followed it. And it is that whatever makes you come alive is important.
Yes.
It's very important.
It is.
What makes you come alive is important.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Well, something made me come alive just recently.
Is that what we talked about in the last episode?
I don't. Did we talk about it in the last episode?
Okay.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
it vegan tuna?
All the days have been running together. Yes. Okay. So we have time.
Well,
right?
it made
I
you
can share.
flip out first. Then it made you come alive.
Okay. So here's what happened. I don't know if any of you are vegan or you're trying to just eat a little less meat. Whatever it is, we support you. So one of the things that slurping is not me. Can you believe it? It is Toast. Okay. So anyways, one of the things that I miss when it comes to animal products is a good old tuna sandwich. How come you're looking at me like that?
No,
I don't know. That was like a funny look.
was it? Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
I was trying to be supportive with
Looking
my
at-
eyeballs. Looking at you.
Okay, so anyways, okay, so I do once in a while. I really want to eat a tuna sandwich,
But you never have.
but I never have, and
ins-
I won't.
And
I
instead,
just,
you'll do take tofu, like firm tofu, and you'll add
I'll make
like,
my own
spices that
like tuna thing, but I'm also eating less soy these days. So I found this can of vegan tuna.
TOONA. Vegan tuna. And it had 2.5 stars. The rating,
It
like
did, the
people's
ra-
reviews for it were hilarious because they were so bad.
It was so bad. But I was so curious. I was so curious. And people were like, this is disgusting. This is so gross. This is like cat food. Oh, this is so not worth the money. But I was curious. Okay, so
You were like,
seriously,
let me judge for myself.
Yes.
Which is that's good.
it's a good thing, you know? Hey, what if I like it?
right.
But anyways, so believe it or not, 2 months ago, I bought a can 1 can of vegan tuna, and it took 2 months to eat it
Because she was scared.
I was scared because of the reviews. The reviews were stuck in my head. But, okay, so what happened was I decided there was a particular day. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it today. But it was a process. So the day before, well, day 1, I made the decision. I am going to try that tuna. Then day 2, I just took it out of the cupboard. You know how you have to go in steps, right? I took it out of the cupboard.
Some of us, I guess, have to do that.
I put it on the counter just so I could acclimate, like I would see it, right? And see the can there.
Geez.
So I had 24, I see the can. Then on day 3, actually, I think I spent 2 days having the can on the counter. Then day 4, I went in, I just did it. And so I opened the can. Now here's the truth. I opened the can and I had to take some deep breaths because it does look like canned cat food tuna. Okay, so if you have a cat and if you have ever fed your cat tuna, which we would say to only do as a treat every once in a while, and if you don't have to do it at all, that's actually the best route.
And why is that, really quickly?
Because fish is not great for cats, believe it or not. Fish is not a good thing. Once you they don't get as much nutrients from the fish. There has also been some connection with high fish diets and hyperthyroidism. But also, fish is such a strong taste that sometimes when you give cats fish, they don't want to eat anything else.
Okay.
And the treat that you once thought you were giving them, now it's like they're on food strike and they only want their fish. But anyways, so if you have ever fed your cat tuna, you'll know that a lot of the cat food tuna is a darker color. Now, that would be from like bottom of the barrel, the dark parts of the fish. So it's like a dark color. So when you open this vegan can of tuna, it looks like that. But here's the thing. Get over it. Because it doesn't smell like cat food tuna. And it really doesn't smell like human tuna.
What does it smell like?
It just smells like nothing.
Vegan tuna.
Yeah, I mean, there's no strong smell to it. So if you can get over the look of it,
It's more the
which
look
I
of
did,
it.
which I did.
Right, yeah.
You will have a great staple on your hands. And I know this whole podcast isn't about vegan tuna and we're kind of going off on it, but let me just quickly say that this is a great option for people because, especially for vegans, because unlike a lot of the fake type of meats out there, meat substitutes, a lot of them have a ton of soy, a lot of them have a ton of wheat and gluten in the product. This one is primarily pea protein, which a lot of the high quality vegan protein powders have. It's a pea-based protein. So this vegan tuna is non-GMO. So it's non-GMO ingredients, primarily the peas, of course. But the other things in it is like some oil. That's just to kind of help give it, I think, more flavor, like more fat, right?
Yeah.
It has some spices in there, some sea salt. But if you get over the look,
So
I actually thought it was good. And
Yeah,
I
and-
am going to go and leave a nice review.
And you're going to buy more.
I'm going to buy more, yeah.
How many stars would you give it?
Okay, so out of 5 stars, I would give it 4.
Okay. So 1 star taken off just for the appearance.
1 star taken off for the appearance. Also, I don't think it really tastes like tuna.
Okay. It's just,
But for me, I was just happy to find another option.
yeah.
that wasn't soy, that wasn't wheat,
Right.
that I could then add whatever flavor. So it's really a versatile product.
It's a good base.
It's not really tuna.
And
you
we
know?
were saying like, oh, we could use this to make like taco meat.
Tacos, yeah.
substitute.
You could just, cook it up and add your taco seasonings to it, versus a lot of the meats out there that are soy-based.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Bonus tip at the top of the
Top of the ep.
Top of the episode.
top of the app.
Vegan tuna.
Okay.
All right. So I think it's fair to say that the vegan tuna experience did, in the end, like, it had its good points, it has its bad points, but it did make you come alive because now you're like,
It did make me come
"Hey,
alive."
First of all, I'm going to try this for myself. Second of all, I'm not going to just buy it. I'm actually going to eat it. And hey, this is adding to my life. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Very
that's my desperate attempt to try and segue into the topic.
That was good.
Of
That
this
was good.
episode. But okay, so, and I think this whole concept of like, okay, do what makes you come alive because that's important. It leads you on to whatever you are supposed to be doing with your life, whatever God or spirit or the life force is trying to have happen in the world through you as you. I think this topic is kind of like top of mind for us because I think doing this podcast is part of that for us, and it's one of those things that kind of didn't let us go, right? Like it kept coming back
Right.
as like, oh
Right.
man, it would be kind of cool to do it again. It took us 7 years to get back to it, but it was something that just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. So I'm trying to think of what an example is.
For that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. But I think it's important to clarify what we mean when we say doing something like what makes you come alive. Like, what is that? Like,
Yes.
so
okay.
I think let's clarify that.
Yes.
And then there's a misconception that could easily be made that I want to avoid
Okay.
after that.
Okay, you have a plan. It sounds like you have a plan.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm making the agenda up as we go.
So, am I just giggling this whole podcast? What is?
Yeah,
Maybe it's the
yeah.
vegan tuna. I think it's. Do you hear how we're calling it?
Tuna. Well, that's how they spelled it on the can.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so all podcasts won't be this silly. In case this is the first time you're hearing our episodes. All right. Okay. So the thing that makes you come alive, the thing that brings you life. So what does that really mean? Or how does that feel?
I think a good way to describe it is when you are in that state, then you're in a state of flow. So I think that's the power or the sensation and inspiration that people in an audience feel when they are witnessing like a musical act, somebody on stage being in their element and in the flow, and it's mesmerizing.
It is.
It's
It is.
uplifting. It's like church. It's like
It is.
witnessing somebody who is just in their element, that doing something that makes them just come alive.
And that's really powerful for all of us that get to witness that, because that type of energy, when you are around someone that is doing something that is just in their element, when they're in their element, it really is palpable to be around that, because what you're feeling is like this life force, just they're resonating, this life force, and it really is that. In fact, there is actually an integrative wellness center in Santa Monica where the one of the medical directors there actually started to teach a program that helped people get in touch with that thing.
That thing that makes it come
that
alive.
thing that they wanted to do, that thing that would not let them go, that thing in their life that would make its presence known, you know, while they're working say the 9 to 5, you know, there's a thing that's calling them, but we tend to kind of push that down, right, through logic.
'Cause it's not practical.
It's not practical. I work full time. When am I going to have time to bake cakes or whatever it might be, the thing that brings you life? But what this medical director found is that when she incorporated this program and began prescribing this program instead of medicines, she found that a lot of chronic conditions that these patients came to her for went away once they started moving in the direction of the thing that brought them life.
I love it. Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, like people would come to this clinic with like, a complaint about a chronic condition, whether it's their joints or blood work being off or
Rheumatoid arthritis,
fatigue
there
or
was
something.
eczema,
Yeah. And there's all
heart conditions.
and they've been through all kinds of, traditional medical treatments. Doesn't work.
as well as alternative therapies.
Yeah, it doesn't work, doesn't work. And there's no, true like medical root cause that can be found or something. So then it's like, okay, let's turn to the life force.
The life force,
Yeah.
right. Which is pretty amazing when you think about it, because as we're speaking to it as the thing that makes you come alive, I mean, it literally does that.
Yeah.
It makes you come alive and it keeps you alive.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the thing that makes you come alive is important, that's what we mean.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me that I don't think the English language, which is a reflection of the Western worldview, has, a given or a term to express what we mean. We have to go through all of these long explanations because
Yep.
we don't have a word that just everybody understands. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
I think the closest that we come to it is probably life force or spirit or God or life energy. But those things can be so easily misunderstood, I think, because our society is still, getting the understanding that there is such a thing. That is not, that Western science doesn't fully understand or fully accept yet, maybe.
Right.
So yeah, the thing that makes you come alive is important. And we feel like the thing that makes you feel alive, if you don't do it, then it starts to feel like the thing that won't let you go. And that's what this podcast felt like to us.
Like it keeps coming back up. It keeps coming back up. And it's really interesting.
Okay, so that's the definition of what we mean when we say that thing.
Oh, yeah, you had a number 2.
Yeah,
a
so the
second
number
thing.
2 is
Okay.
I wanted to just address a misconception, because this is something that I feel like I lived under, this misconception, for a long time, and I'm still trying to unlearn it. And it is the assumption that the thing that makes you feel alive or whatever you feel drawn to is that, therefore, is what you're meant to do with your life, and that is your life's mission.
Right.
For example,
Right.
like playing music or baking cakes or cooking food or going fishing or doing a podcast. So is that like, am I supposed to therefore then become like a famous chef or something? Or write cookbooks for my living? Is that what I'm supposed to do? And
Toast, no.
yeah, the answer is
No.
not necessarily. I think what our point of view is that the thing that makes you feel alive and that you feel drawn to is not necessarily your life's mission, but it is the next step that you're supposed to take in your life. In other words, it's going to lead you to the step that will follow. And
Yes.
so on and so forth.
Yes.
And I think that's what is meant when a lot of, spiritual teachers will say, like, just take the next step,
right.
right? And you're not going to see the whole picture until you
It's like
do
the car, the headlights of a car,
Yeah, you're only going to see as far as the headlights go. So just
And that's
go
all
that
you need
far,
to see,
and
right.
you'll see from there whatever's coming up.
Exactly. So, okay, so what I wanted to share an example of this.
Great.
But it's a combination of probably another topic of a
Okay,
podcast,
great.
Which
well,
is
we
about
need more topics. So
which is about perspectives.
okay,
So there's a little bit of that in the example I'm going to give. But so, for instance, when I graduated from college, I graduated with a degree in social work, and I loved social work. I felt that gave me life. But here's the thing. I did really well in my program, but I did not get into the master's program for social work, which I was so shocked by just because of how well I did. And it really changed things for me in terms of what's next. And that was why, because I did not get into that program, that is why I explored, at the time, social workers weren't licensed. We were the only, Hawaii was the only state who had not licensed their social workers. So because of that fact, wages were lower. We had less platform to work from. So then I thought, well, maybe I can go to law school. And so very last minute, I looked up the deadline, I applied, I got in, and here I am
very
in law
well
school.
there too.
I did well there too. But hello, I was completely slammed with talk about not feeling the life force. What I felt was something completely different, and that was probably cortisol, which was just like coursing through, like just from stress. My body was in constant fight or flight.
Quick time out for the non-geeky people. Cortisol is the stress.
Yes.
What is that? Is it a hormone?
Yes. Yes.
It's a
So your
stress
body
hormone.
will release cortisol whenever it's under stress.
Okay.
So, and that's a good thing for it to do. But when your body is overly taxed and you are feeling constantly stressed, your body releases too much cortisol. So anyways, but what did bring life was singing. And in fact, it was during law school that I got reacquainted with my love for music, and my friend would just drag me to go karaoke and go singing.
Time out for the people who don't know
What is this?
for the people who don't know what karaoke is,
Yes.
because that's how people in Hawaii and Japan pronounce karaoke.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
Okay. Anyways, yeah.
But
Karaoke is karaoke.
so that really was such a stress reliever for me. And pretty soon I discovered that, oh my God, not only is this a stress reliever, doing this actually brings me life. And so even though people who were witnessing what I was doing with my life, working hard to get into law school, working hard and getting good grades there, and then, spending my time going singing, after I made the decision that life is too short. I don't care if I only have 1.5 years left of law school. I do not want to spend those 1.5 years of my life not feeling the life force. When I know I feel my life force doing this other thing on the side here.
Right.
So following that, just as Tos had mentioned, following that next step, which was to quit school. For me at the time, that was what the option was. Quit school. I started singing, doing more singing. And then through that, I got to tour. I got to work with some amazing people. And through that, I met Toast.
Yes, I opened for a concert that Sienna was a part of, and that's how we first met in person.
And sometimes Toast and I feel like, I think the reason we started doing music was so that we would end up meeting.
Yes.
So you just never know. So what Toast is saying about just, whatever is bringing you life, hey, embrace it, because that is the next step, is really true. And you just never know what's going to happen from taking that step.
It's kind of like, this reminds me too of, I think Steve Jobs was probably talking about the same thing, where it's like he said something along the lines of, you can't connect the dots going forward.
Right.
You just have to trust that it's all leading somewhere, and then you'll find out. But you have to trust and keep taking those steps.
Exactly. And so, for instance, if we just touch back on that story I shared, even though I was crushed when I didn't get into the master's program for social work, if I had, would I have had the type of stress and cortisol issues going on as law school that would then warrant the, oh my God, I need to relieve some stress, I have to go sing with my friend? Like, would I have done that? I do not know. But I certainly do know that following and just going the next step that the headlights are shining on has led me to a tremendously fulfilling life.
And which then the question becomes, okay, so let's accept that then. Let's assume, okay, you're following the next step, which led to us meeting, which led to us being together for 17 years now. And okay, so then what's the point of that?
And of us being together?
Yeah, right? Like, okay, so why is that important?
Wow, okay,
and
we're going deep. Yeah, let's go.
I think that's what you're talking about earlier, though, when you said you're talking like, oh, you're going to bring something up that will introduce yet another topic for a future episode.
Actually, no.
And you're no?
I think I know what you're going to say.
Okay, I'll just tell you.
Oh, okay, yeah, tell me.
I'm talking about like what another belief that we share, which is that we believe relationships, like soulmate relationships, are for the purpose of further evolution of each of the individuals in that relationship.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, great. That is a great podcast topic, and maybe we should bump what we might be doing next week to do that one. I don't know. But no, that wasn't the podcast topic I was thinking of.
Well, then what is it?
I was thinking of a podcast topic on how to efficiently structure your perspectives on things that happen in your circumstance so that you can continue to move forward in the direction that does bring you life.
Oh my gosh.
Does that make any sense?
Okay, that was a lot.
Anyways,
but I think we need that.
I think we have some topics.
We need that. Okay.
All right. So what I would say, so I think that, like, for instance, so what does this all mean, right? Like, what brings you life? How can you even tell, like, does it bring you life? I think one way is to really feel within your body, does something feel expansive, or does that thing feel contractive? I think I know that when I learned of that, expansive versus contractive, I gained a new tool and a new filter, really, to use when moving forward with making certain decisions. If I was going to do something or not, does it bring me life or does it not? And the more things you say yes to that actually do bring you life, you truly are leveling up. You really are leveling up, because now you're in a whole different playing field.
And you're tapping into and you're saying yes to that life force that we talked about earlier, right? Like you're opening up that channel and make it
welcome.
You're availing yourself of that energy.
Yes. And so one really easy thing that you can try doing, if this resonates with you at all, is to just notice in your body, does it feel expansive? Do I feel open? Or do I feel contractive and restricted? Is there a knot in my stomach? Is there, and sometimes,
that fight or flight.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very subtle. But if you just start practicing it with your, day-to-day, moment-to-moment decisions, you really will get good at being able to hear it.
It's a real skill that I think takes a lot of development, especially if, or when I should say, especially because we are in a society that does put a lot of pressure on us as individuals, and
Yes.
especially as gay people.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of value judgments placed on us as individuals based on what our sexual orientation is, how we look, what profession we do, right? And to distinguish between society's pressure and versus society's approval of certain things, right? How much money you make and what your
All the
status
different
is
voices.
and all that stuff, right? It's like that's one source of the way you might feel. So it takes, I think, a lot of skill and constant discipline, to me anyways, to cultivate blocking those things out
Right.
and paying attention.
Disowning it.
Yeah, and paying attention to know what do I just feel inside.
Okay, that's a great point. So maybe I would revise the expansive, contractive exercise or invitation, really, and say maybe one good place, one easier place to start is to think of something you love, like you absolutely love. And it could be something you love to eat. It could be something you love to do. But to really take a moment and immerse yourself, like, how do you feel when you are eating that? Or how do you feel when you're doing that? Now, it has to be something you really love, because I think that's going to make the feeling very apparent. You're going to find your body, you just feel open. You just feel available, like Toast said. There's just this great expansiveness that you feel within yourself. So if you start there and you know what expansiveness is like, what expansion is like, then things that are contractive, you will be able to compare it and know that. Okay, we have to wrap this up, but I was thinking about the vegan tuna still. Okay. So I do have to say, because I care. I really care.
Okay.
And what we say, I want to make sure that our listeners have all the information. Okay, so I was really bothered about the whole time we were doing this podcast, because I was thinking about the vegan tuna. And now there is, even though it's great that it has pea protein, what I would say is that it does have canola oil, which is not the best thing on this planet.
And you just feel
And I want
like
to say
you
that
need to be
because-
responsible and
yeah, I care.
okay,
Yeah.
and
I don't
let
want
people
them
know
to
that.
think like,
Got
oh,
it.
this is good.
Like this is the best health food ever.
Yeah, so it has canola oil. I think they could make an improvement by using a different kind of oil in this. So just know that.
Noted.
Okay, don't eat it every day. Okay, all right. So thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
And until next time, this is Sienna.
And this is Toast, telling you to love life, live free.